that man was created in God's image. I now don't believe that. I believe that God was created by man in his image.
Absolutely spot on.
And this is what we're living with. And basically the prophets were the politicians of their day. The Bible and the Quran is basically a control document to control the masses.
Well, religion is a form of control. I think anybody would argue that.
Yeah, and we've now got Blair and Bush as the new prophets, unfortunately. So that's about it, Mike.
But I think the point you make, it sounds as though it's just a smart remark, but it actually is the truth.
It's absolutely true.
Man created God.
Yes, because your very point there, and I was about to say that, when you keep me hearing about, where did the source material come from? Oh, it's God. And you're absolutely right. Where did God come from?
Jim, thank you. I won't keep on, but it is a point that I forget who it was now. It's a writer. His name will come to me shortly. Not that matters, but he did say if God didn't exist, we'd have to invent one. And at a later date, somebody said, well, he doesn't exist, so we've invented lots of them. And we have. I mean, we've got the God of Christianity, God of Islam, Buddhism, Sikhism, Hinduism, Scientology, the lot that knock the door. The names always elude me, are they? Ones that always have the eyes like sharks, completely dead. They just stare straight ahead of themselves. If you invited them in for a cup of tea, they'd run a mile. But you wouldn't anyway. 08704 20 20 20 is the number. Adam is... Well, I'm not sure where you are, Adam. Where are you?
Hello, in Tyneside, Adam.
Tyneside, all right. Good morning.
Hello,
good evening.
Hi, nice to meet you. Right, I was just calling out, I can speak about many of the points you just said, but I want to get things in quickly, because I know you've probably got lots of other callers.
We are overwhelmed.
Right, well, okay, I'd just like to, a few types of evidence of God's existence through the fact that the Bible, well, I'm Jewish, basically, so the Torah could not have been written by a human being, because it's not humanly possible for a human being to make such predictions and such statements. I'll give you a few examples. It says in the Bible that for a fish to be kosher, it has to have two qualities. It has to have fins and scales, right? And we have in our tradition that if it's got scales, it definitely has fins. So what we have to look for is the scales. But in our tradition it says any fish which only there is not a single fish in the universe which has scales and no fins. Right, now how is it possible?
I'm sorry, this is fascinating, but it doesn't mean a thing to me.
Well, let me explain to you. If it was a person, there's only two options who could have written the Bible, right? It could have been God, or it could have been people. I mean, right, like discounting aliens, things like that.
Why discount aliens? If you believe in God, you surely believe in aliens.
All right, I think we've got a bit more evidence of a God than aliens.
Oh, I would say quite the reverse, but still.
All right, okay, well, aliens is a new thing. Okay, but let's stick to the God and all right, we'll bring aliens in later if you want.
Yeah, please,
yeah?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay, okay. Right, either there's going to be God or humans. A human cannot predict all the species which were only discovered through deep-sea diving and stuff like that at the bottom of the ocean. There's no way any humans could have gone there, especially like if it was written.
So the Bible predicted the existence of creatures that we've only just discovered.
Right, well,
no, that's what you're saying, is it?
Basically, it's telling us qualities of...
No, I'm asking you a simple question. Does the Bible predict the existence of creatures which have yet to be discovered?
Yes, basically.
Thank you. Go on.
Right, can I give a couple more?
Well, yes, I mean, it's...
Sorry, okay. Right, there's also, there's four animals. Right, for an animal to be kosher, it has to have split hooves and chew the cud. And we have a tradition that there's only four animals in the universe, right, well, the world, which only have one of the two signs. So that's a pig has split hooves and doesn't chew the cud, right? Right, and that's the only one which has split hooves which doesn't chew the cud. Any animal besides the pig which has split hooves will definitely chew the cud. And there's no way a human could have known about that, because you've got all different Australia and America, all the different animals there.
Yeah.
And anyway, it would be stupid why did they put it in the Bible in the first place? Why make a stupid prediction like that? Can I just show you how serious it is?
No, it does. I mean, that's got me. I shan't sleep. Thank you very much. Well, bless my soul. Well, that's blown my arguments right out of that. I now must believe in God, because it's been proven to me that pigs have split hooves and don't chew the cud. I knew that. This is talkSPORT.
talkSPORT, the radio station which is so fed up with the holiday festive hype, it's going away this year. On 2 weeks in the Maldives on Alan Brazil's private yacht.
How you doing?
DAB digital radio, or alternatively, Boxing Day in Beaky's static caravan in Scilla. With your sister-in-law and her bearded four-eyed Cumbrian brat of a husband. Yes, you know who you are, Kelly. 1089 and 1053 medium wave. This is talkSPORT.
It's talkSPORT. Good evening. We're going to Enfield. John's there. John, hello, you're on talkSPORT.
Primitive.
Sorry, can you start again, John? We missed the beginning of that.
I'm a primitive. I'm very primitive.
Right.
Okay, I believe in... I'm a sun worshipper.
I think that's quite sensible.
Okay? Now, the thing is, when somebody mentions God to me, the first word I think of is opium. And Karl Marx summed it up. He said that it's opium for the people.
Opium for the
people,
people,
And it started with Constantine, the Emperor Constantine.
Not personally, no.
Well, he was a Roman emperor. He kind of switched, and used religion to, shall we say, manipulate the people. And it's still happening today.
Oh, it happens all over the world, and I can give you examples of it which are, I think, quite horrifying.
Exactly. Well, we shouldn't have religion in our government.
I 100%.
Any government.
I 100% agree. It is, to me, you can't be the Prime Minister of this country unless you profess an absolute belief in God. And there have been one or two who suddenly, although most of their lives they've been atheists or at the best agnostic, suddenly got religion the nearer they got to the front bench. I'm not going to name any names, there's one very famous one, who suddenly thought, hey, I'm going to be Prime Minister, and suddenly started professing a belief in God, having been a professed atheist all his life until that moment. And I thought, whoa, what a change on the road to Damascus that was. Oh, have I just given a biblical quote? Oh dear. Thank you very much for the call, John. Tom is in Cambridge. Tom, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Yeah. I was. I just wanted to. The point I wanted to make was that Richard Dawkins wrote a chapter in his book, which was why there is almost certainly no God. And I absolutely agree with that. But there's another question we could ask: is there a God that makes any difference to the way we should lead our lives? Now, that question, we can say emphatically no, and what's embarrassing is we've known this for living ages. I think it was about 400 BC that Plato first posed the question, is something good because God says it is, or is it, if God says it's good, is it good? In other words, he showed very simply that concepts of goodness and love, and so you callers have been saying God is love, God is good, these concepts are external to God, and God actually has to be judged by those measures as sure as we do.
You see, I'm taking your point just a stage further. I've heard one of the backwards collar wearers, what are they called, with the long frock and the big tall hat, what are they called, bishops or archbishops?
Yes, common charlatans, I think.
That's the word.
Yeah.
I've heard one of those spouting off this week about the lack of morals in an increasingly secular society.
Yeah.
As though Christianity has anything to do with morality.
It
has no relationship whatsoever.
No, not, and yes, the history of Christianity has been so blood-soaked, it is rather astonishing that you hear that canard, really, but... No, the problems, man. We've heard the problem of evil, problem of infinite regression. The so-called theologians have had endless incoherent stabs at these problems, and they've never been solved to anybody's satisfaction. But of course, nobody quite could still work out where life from. And then Darwin just sort of blew the whole thing out of the water. He explained it, and really, religion should have died a death then.
Well, very largely it did. It's reinvented itself in many ways as being a branch of the social services.
Yeah.
It's reinvented itself as being a moral police force. It's reinvented itself as being something that children will be very warmly welcomed into. I wouldn't leave my children with too many of them, it has to be said. The evidence is fairly clear. There are other factors that... I don't want to damn people who believe in religion, but I doubt their sincerity. And I sometimes doubt their integrity.
Yes, honesty is a major problem. And the thing about religion, I mean, it's very... And of course, this is Richard Dawkins' really key contribution here, is the concept of meme. A lot of you callers have been talking about religion as a sort of form of control. And, of course, they're right, it is. But what Richard has shown is something far more subtle, the way that ideas, concepts like heaven and hell, they can take on a life of their own, and they can actually evolve. And you were talking about the way religions have adapted. They're actually evolving along evolutionary lines. And I think, you know, religions would rather sort of now talk about control and the Inquisition, rather than let us see what Richard Dawkins has been showing us, how banal what is really going on is, what is actually going on is ideas like heaven and hell, they exist because they can. Because if you tell a child you've got to believe this or you go to hell... Well,
I was saying about children earlier, and if you tell a child that Father Christmas will bring you presents if you behave in the way that you're told to, chances are you're going to behave the way you're told to. If you tell the same child that you will have a wonderful, warm, comfortable life if you behave the way God tells you to, you'll say, sign me up, I'll be a Christian.
Yeah.
But when you get a bit older, you don't believe in Father Christmas for very good reason, and neither do many go on believing in God.
No, but we carry on because we've been burdened by the past. But now we know the cat's out of the bag. Religion is incoherent, it's immoral, it's just vacuous, it's banal, and really, I think it's time. We've really got to go on the attack. I think with Richard's book, and there's a lot of other people. There's a great guy in the States called Sam Harris who's really hitting hard on this. I think we can really break religion.
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to go on a campaign, and I don't necessarily think it would be a wise thing, because something else would replace it, which could be even worse. And in some parts of the United States, it already has. But while people are comfortable with their belief, then fine, as long as it doesn't interfere with the way they change and they respond to other people. But those who are uncomfortable with their belief and only believe in God because they daren't not believe should really re-examine their thoughts. Thank you very much for the call. If that is the case, I know somebody, or at least I know of somebody, who is so scared to say I don't believe in God, in case he's struck down the next moment, that he says it he says things on very frequent occasions about how his beliefs have carried him through all manner of ailments and illnesses. But he doesn't believe a word of it. But he daren't say so. Danny is in Stanmore. Danny, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Well, good evening, Mike. There is a statement in the Bible, a statement, not a belief or anything like that, an actual statement, that says that 3 million people, I say 3,600,000 families, before Moses went up to get the Ten Commandments, heard the voice of God around Mount Sinai. This has never been disproved. The children didn't say that was rubbish. Future generations didn't say it was rubbish. That was a claim made, which has never been disproved.
Does it need to be?
But 3 million people can't have hallucinations.
Well, how many of those 3 million people said, I heard the voice of God?
Oh, quite a few, because later on in the narrative you get the...
How many of those people actually said, I heard the voice of God?
How many?
Yeah.
Well...
The answer's none.
Well, it's not true, because if you...
there's not one report, there's not one...
There is. Well, if you go a bit further in the story...
No, let's stay where we are, because... first of all, did those people actually exist anyway?
No, because there's a fellow...
Is that a story?
Yes,
did somebody make it up?
But, Mike, there's a fellow called Korah, who said to Moses, why are you leading the people? I'm as holy as you are. That story wouldn't make sense, because he said, I heard the voice of God like you heard the voice of God. What makes you a leader and not me a leader?
Yeah, but it's a good story.
No, but if it was just a story, surely the children would say to their fathers, why did you write such rubbish? We didn't hear anything. But none of them did.
Well, because the book was written 700 years afterwards, they'd have been dead for a while.
Yes, but Mike, if you're going to write a story and say there's witnesses to a fact, you're opening up quite a quagmire, because anybody can challenge you on that.
I mean, has anybody actually heard, you know the talking horse? Does anybody write and dispute that it talks? I don't think so. Oh, you're talking nonsense. I can't entertain that sort of rubbish. There are people with intelligent arguments to put forward and remarks to make and questions which really do deserve someone to think about and answer. But, I can't even come down to that level. I'm terribly sorry. Kevin is in Livingstone. Kevin, good evening. You're on talkSPORT.
Good evening. How are you?
My health's not in question for the last time.
Right. Well, basically what I'm phoning for is I'm just in reply to the Mr. Dawkins that you had on earlier on, who seemed to make quite a lot of talk about evolution.
Yes,
and
that's what he does.
He also said that he had a lot of facts regarding it.
Yeah, well, he is actually a leading evolutionary biologist and a professor of zoology at Oxford University, so he does have those.
Sure, yeah. Well, what I was just phoning up for was there's actually a website on the internet. It's www.drdino.com, which is D-I-N-O. Basically, he is contractually bound now to. He's offering $250,000 US. For any shred of evidence regarding evolution. It's quite an interesting website he's got. He is a Christian scientist.
Any shred of evidence regarding evolution?
Sorry? A shred of evidence, yeah. And, I mean, he's had that offer now for 10 years, and so far...
So this man is offering money in return for any shred of evidence of evolution?
Yes. I mean... Really,
I'm sorry, I just don't believe you.
Right, well, I mean, you can certainly check the website out for yourself, Mike. I mean, there is no scientific evidence whatsoever for it. Not a shred of proof. The man is a Christian scientist himself. He does...
What's a Christian scientist?
Well, I mean, when we talk about science, we have to look at either what's known as true science, which is provable fact, and evolution, which is obviously, I mean, it's not provable because it's not repeatable. Science can only...
I'm sorry, but you went... I'm just going to ask you this, and then we'll move on, but...
Sure.
When you look around yourself, Kevin, tomorrow, and you look at the flowers, the trees, the birds and the bees, and the men and the women and the animals and the creatures that you see, you don't see any evidence of evolution?
No, I don't see any evidence of evolution.
Okay, no, sorry, I really don't think it would be wise to continue the conversation for your sake. Chris is in Brighton. Chris, good evening, you're on talkSPORT.
Hi, Mike. What would I like to say? Well, I think God is kind of obvious. You don't really need a Bible or anything, you can just sort of see it with your own eyes. I just sat in the park the other day and just looked at some people walking in different directions, dogs, some trees with no leaves, and then some bushes underneath that had leaves. And then I sort of thought, what's coordinating the whole thing?
Yeah. You didn't think of nature, perchance, did you?
Well, nature, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if Richard Dawkins is really going against God as such. It's possible that evolution is just the mechanical or the visible aspects of what's going on, but really God is behind that. I mean, I would recommend anyone to have a look at Kabbalah, really, if they're not interested in God, but they want to study...
What's Kabbalah?
But it's like a sort of Jewish religion.
But I thought Christianity was a Jewish religion.
Well, kind of, but Christianity's been messed around with a lot.
Or a Jewish myth, actually.
Yeah, Christianity's got some truth in it, but it's not the whole story.
I wonder why it is that this all happened elsewhere in the world, and yet Britain seems to be the centre of it. It's odd, isn't it?
The centre of...
Well, the argument of the Church of England, obviously being in this country, I wonder why the Church of England adopted Christianity.
That's a difficult question.
It is, isn't it?
Christianity sort of forced its way in from various accounts. I mean, they sort of like there was a guy called Esus, and that was actually the original Jesus. They say, Christmas is like.
I believe that Jesus was a bloke.
Oh, I do.
And I've no doubt that Jesus Christ existed. I don't think he was anything to do with God. I think he was. He was a sort of early day Paul Daniels who went round doing magic tricks and impressing people with his skill doing that sort of thing, and in consequence they believed everything he said.
He was a powerful man.
I think he was, yeah.
He wasn't the son.
But he wasn't the son of God, for goodness sake. But he was around doing tricks, and then he went off to be a fisherman. Did what other people did at the same time. Yeah, I've no doubt that Jesus existed, but he certainly wasn't born in December. 08704 20 20 20 is our number. There's lots to talk about. This is talkSPORT.
There's a barman in my fridge. At least I think there is. The footprints in the butter are a clue. He's the one who gives my Guinness that smooth and creamy finish, and I bet he'd come and do the same for you. I've never caught him working, but that doesn't mean he's shirking. It just means he hears me coming to the door. Yes, the proof of his existence I can find without assistance in every can of Guinness Draught I pour. Cheers.
Guinness Draught at home. Good things come to those who... Pick some up at Morrison's.
Good evening, I'm Mike Dickin. This is talkSPORT. We continue talking about the existence of God, and the effect that religion has on people, I think, is probably another factor. Is it a system of control? Is it a necessary crutch for some people? Is a belief in religion and God a sign of psychiatric problems? You know, you can tell me in total confidence, right here on talkSPORT.
On 1089 and 1053 AM. Mike Dickin on talkSPORT.
Good morning, I'm Mike Dickin. This is talkSPORT. You know what we're talking about. And there are other things we can talk about as well. I don't feel that it's exclusively about the existence or otherwise of God, or whether it's to do with the control of religion or the influence of religion, and other factors related to religious belief. The phone lines are very, very busy and continue to be so. But if you can get through and there's another topic that you think is of equal importance, we'll give it a go. 08704 20 20 20 is that number. Iqbal is in Birmingham. Iqbal, good morning. You're on talkSPORT.
Yeah, hi, Mike. I just wanted to share my belief about existence of God. I'm of the Islamic faith.
Right.
And I believe there is God.
Right.
And not to believe that there isn't God is to be a bit, I'd say, don't want to be rude, but a bit ignorant. Because,
okay.
Looking around us, the trees, the rain, the sky, the moon, the stars, if we read the religious books, it all makes sense with the messengers coming to people generations before.
Does it?
From the first person, Adam, who God created, and then sent messengers from Adam to Muhammad, including Jesus, Moses. They all came with the same message, and it was a reminder to people that, you know, at the end of the day, it says that every soul is going to face death, and, you know, that is a reality we just can't deny. And personally, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own beliefs and whatever they want to believe, sure, and whatever satisfies themselves, or whatever they feel comfortable with. But the reality is, everything will come to an end, and we will all be questioned in front of our Creator, your Creator, my Creator, the Creator of the world, who says that he's
he's going to sort of sit there and pass judgment, was he?
Well, let's put it this way: everybody is going to be accountable for their own deeds.
Yeah, but who's going to decide whether I did bad or not?
Yeah, well, in the Quran it says...
No, I mean, who's going to make that decision? Sorry, who is it?
Well, let me just explain. The Islamic belief is when you die, all human beings have angels, two angels with them, one on the right, one on the left.
Oh, right. I've never seen them.
No, they're not something we can see. And
something else we can't see. Oh, that's convenient.
No, angels are a bit more sort of...
Where do they come from, then?
Well, let's put it this way. You see, our understanding, our comprehension, it doesn't extend to the limit that we could understand the power of God. God is just superior of all things, and is merciful. And
well, I've proved that he's not very merciful, but they go on.
But let's put it this way: God says He's given us 5 senses. We can see the way our body works.
Did God say that?
Sorry?
Did God say we've got 5 senses, or was it a scientist?
Well, earlier on, one of the callers mentioned a quotation from the Quran to say about the embryology, about how human beings are actually formed, and it also says on a certain number of days the angel comes and decides whether he'll be a boy or a girl. So everything is all...
Oh, right. So an angel... Why would an angel decide on whether it's a boy or a girl?
Well, God decides, but the angel comes...
It's going to be very busy.
Decides, yeah. But the main thing is, we need to think...
No, but the main thing is, how does he make that decision with all the millions of babies that are being born, does he?
Well, that's... Everybody's going to be coming to the earth, and then at the end, there will be Day of Judgment.
Well, you keep on and on, but you don't listen to anything that's said in response, do you? There are millions of babies being born.
Sure.
Just on a practical level, how does one God deal with all of those, then?
Well,
how does he make those decisions?
You see, we can't limit our understanding about God.
All right.
God is more powerful or superior than our brain can limit. God says, if you were to write all the blessings of God and favors upon us, the whole ocean, even if that was full of ink and you wrote all the good things about God, it would still not suffice his...
And God said that, did he? So he's a bit boastful, then?
No, God is explaining to human beings that you could do what you want on this earth, but there is a time you will be accountable and come back, and I will question you of what you did, denying all his favours.
But, the fact that I don't believe in him, does that mean I won't get to meet him?
No, I think you have to admit that you were created, and there is...
well, I was created by my parents, actually.
And they were created by their parents.
Their parents, and so on, yeah.
Adam was the first human being.
Was he?
We could be quizzed over it, but that is...
All right, but when I get there, when I get to this place, wherever it is, and he says, right, you've spent your life saying I don't exist. What's he going to do with me?
Right, well, God will question you. You were given eyes, you were given a brain...
we know all the bits that I've got. You may be surprised at some of the things I've got, but I have a few. But when I get there, and he's done all the bit that... Goodness me, he's going to be so busy, he's going to go through it all. But then he'll decide on what. The fact that I didn't believe in him is bad, then. So I'm a bad person, off I go to Hades or somewhere. Well, yeah or no? I'm just asking you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is...
No, I'm asking you a question. What does he do with someone like me?
Well, deliberately being ignorant, knowing that there is...
No, I'm not deliberately being ignorant. No, I spent the first 8, 9, 10 years maybe of my life believing in God.
Right.
It's only when I grew up I realised what a load of old tosh it was.
So when you're in deep... in a problem, who do you call out to?
I certainly don't call out to God.
Well, I think there's millions and billions of people around the world who do. But
I'm sure there are, and there are millions of people who claim to believe in God because they're scared to say anything else.
But thinking sensibly, what else is there after life? If God is saying in the religious scriptures, you were dead, then you were given life, then you will be given death. When you're in the ground, then you'll be given life again, and you'll be asked about what you used to do in life.
You really believe you get another life, do you?
Well, there is a purpose of life, and you see...
Well, it's to enjoy yourself.
No, that is completely wrong. Humans are such a technical form, and, if we speak to a doctor and he will be able to explain the eyesight we have, the brains we have, and it doesn't make sense that everything has just come into existence without any purpose. No,
but it does, because you couldn't exist without them. And therefore there would be no human beings. Human beings are living longer, in general. Therefore, I suppose, we're enjoying ourselves a bit more. But what is the purpose of life, then? It's to help evolution, to help the world move on, to leave it a better place than it was when you came here would be a nice thought. And to have a damn good time while you're here, because you ain't going to get another go. You only get one go at this, But clearly you don't believe that. I just still would love to know. Not that it bothers me, but it would be interesting to know what the answer is to when I get there. And he says, ooh, you've been a bad lad. You told everybody I didn't exist. I'm going to deal with you very sternly. And I say, hang on a minute. I may have got that bit wrong, but I was a really nice person. I helped lots of people, and I was a wonderful father and husband, and I did lots of good things. You must have them down in your book there. And say, yes, but that doesn't count. I'm not taking any notice of any of the things you did, just that you denied my existence. Now go to hell. 08704 20 20 20. That's our telephone number. Sandra is in Manchester. Sandra, good morning. You're on talkSPORT.
Good morning. I'm surprised at you, actually, talking like that.
Why?
I believe in God, and I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. And I think...
He was illegitimate, though, wasn't he?
Sorry?
He was an illegitimate son.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I mean, did God sleep with Jesus' mother, then?
No.
No, well... a bit odd, then.
Well, anyway, I do believe in that, and I think it's a good thing, and I think if everybody believed in it, the world would be definitely a better place.
Do you? Why?
And I normally agree with everything you say, except for this one.
Well, why do you believe the world would be a better place, Sandra?
Why?
Yeah.
If people follow the rules of religion, it definitely would be a better place.
Which religion?
Sorry?
Which religion?
Christianity.
Oh, so everybody should be Christian?
Yeah,
not religious. I mean, people believe in God. Which one? There are about 24 at the last count. Which one do we believe, and which set of rules do we follow?
If you believe the Ten Commandments, if you follow...
Are the Ten Commandments in Buddhism, then?
I don't think so.
No, so what do they do, then?
To be honest, I don't know what they do.
No, so you don't really care, do you?
Well, I'm a Christian, and I just believe in that.
Right, so as long as everybody was Christian, is what you meant, that would be good, but not if everybody believes in religion.
In God, even if you don't follow, if you follow those rules, I don't think you can go wrong.
No, so I'll tell you what the Christians did at one point. You will remember this, I'm sure, from your history lessons. They went across parts of the world where they believed in other things, and they said, "Are you a Christian, old chap?" And they said, "No, we're..." whatever they were. So the Christians chopped their heads off. I think that was called the Crusades.
But that's not... Religion doesn't teach to do those things.
Well, that's what they were doing. They were trying to make everybody Christian. And when that didn't work, they sent out missionaries. Missionaries, some of the most evil people that ever walked the face of the planet. They went to countries that were perfectly happy as they were, had their own systems, had their own ways of life, had their own ways of doing things, which were perfectly successful in their part of the world, because that's why they were developed in that part of the world. Along came all these missionaries and said, no, don't do it like this. You want to do it like that. And by the way, while I'm here, have a read about this bloke. He's called God. And then do what he says. And all these people got utterly confused, and they believed it for a while. And then they thought, poor load of old tosh. But by the time they went back to the way they used to do things, it was too late. Their society had been ripped apart by confusion. Come off it, Sam, you don't believe a word of what you're saying. Tony is in Enfield. Tony, good morning. You're on talkSPORT.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
Great program. Christian, I've never met one. I've met thousands of people in my lifetime. So I'm Christian, I'm Church of England, I'm Anglican, I'm this, that, and the other. I can put my hand on my heart and say I've never met a Christian in my life. But let's be reminded, 12 million children a year under the age of 5 years old starve to death across this planet.
Yeah.
33,000 a day. All religion is man-made. Religion didn't make man, but man made religion. Sigh of the oppressed, opium of the people. And we use God as a defense mechanism when we go to war, whether it's our war, British war, American war. God bless America. Take that one on board.
And what were Hitler's last words? Were, God help me.
Well, I mean, you had one chap on earlier, and I don't want to be disrespectful to your callers, but, if I was a psychiatrist, I'd sign the certificate. I don't think I'd let him out. I mean, he was talking about two angels, one to the left, one... And he's just repeating what he's read.
Absolutely.
And who created us, Mike? Our mum and dad had sex. There's no ifs, no buts. Half the world...
I don't like thinking about that, do you?
Well, half the world...
I was joking, John.
Mike?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, half the world's an accident anyway. And tell me, why would... And I was baptised Catholic, and I asked questions at 10, 11
That's
years
child
old.
abuse.
Sorry?
Child abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Baptising a child that can't even speak. You take a child into the church and you give it to the vicar who splashes a bit of water on it and says, I name thee whatever, and then says, and we welcome you into the, whatever it is, of the Christian belief. You didn't have a choice.
No, of course not.
You're dragged into a club that you didn't know anything about.
Mike, it's the best bit of brainwashing that man has devised, because you get it from family, friends, you get it from education, you get it from your culture. Time you're 10, 12 years old, you're gone. But let me just one question for every listener to one of your listeners to pose on. Whether you're Muslim or Jewish or Christian or whatever, why on earth would you go into a hospital and have a heart transplant